Hi, I'm Melissa. I think before we're born here on earth, the divine gives us a variety of tools to choose from to use when we get in moments of stress, when we're backed into a corner, when things aren't going well in life. For some of us, astrology is an attractive tool to use. It was for me ever since I discovered my mom's Linda Goodman books at age 7. And I turned to astrology at 16 when I was trying to figure my life out, what my purpose was and what I was going to do with my life. And so at 16, when I got my driver's license, I tootled on down to Oxford Books in Atlanta. I probably spent hours there going through the books, and I did not walk away with those answers. I've studied astrology since I was 16. I do other people's charts. The one thing they tell me, the reason they're coming to me, is because it's such a vast topic, they don't understand it. They don't get how it all comes together. And I get that. I felt the same. And throughout my growing up with astrology, I always had this idea of simplifying it. Because when you pull away all the details, it's a very simple art. And I'm here today to teach you just 5 things that you need to know to get your chart. First, let's talk about the bubbles. If you want to speak astrology, there are 4 fundamental things you're going to be talking about. You're going to be talking about the planets. Those are the psychological drives. You're going to be talking about the aspects. Those are the conversations the planets are having. You're going to be talking about the signs. That's the goal that the planet has. And then you're also going to be talking about the houses. Your free will is at the center of the chart. The story is out there. You are the choice maker of how you're going to integrate those planetary conversations and how you are going to respond to those life events that the planets are using to help you do your life's path. For those not familiar with the glyphs and things like that, I'm going to quickly run through the dynamics of a chart. In this chart, the planetary glyphs are circled in red. The planets are the psychological drives that we all are born with as human beings. We are all born with an inner motive, an intention. That's our moon. We all are born with a drive to get things done. That's Mars. We all are born with a drive to form values, to be aware of what we value in life. That's Venus. And we are all born with a drive to improve and to grow. That's Jupiter. Next, we have the conversations. The planets in your chart are laid out in such a way that sometimes they connect with other planets in the chart. It is unique to your story how these planets connect. And when they do connect, it's up to you to integrate those conversations. That's your free will. The important thing to remember about aspects is there are aspects that happen within your birth chart that tells you the life themes that you're going to be trying to integrate. But after you're born, the planets keep moving and they form connections with those planets and they create more conversations. Next, let's talk about the signs. The sign is the planetary goal. Take, for example, if you have a sun in Gemini. Well, the sun is about our aspirations. You are more your moon than you are your sun because you are aspiring to be your sun. If that sun is in Gemini, well, Gemini, as a basic understanding of it, is here to make sense of things, right? Differently. Somehow in a previous life, it got it wrong. So this time, if that sun is born in Gemini, it's aspiring to put things together differently. Lots of scientists with sun in Gemini, right? And many great orators. But you learn how to be a great orator by learning what to say and what not to say. So you aspire to be this Gemini type person by making a lot of mistakes about getting your perceptions wrong, of not piecing things together in a way that makes sense, and by lots of nonsensical things happening to you to challenge how you think. And finally, we have the houses. The houses are groups of similar life experiences. And when I say that, we all experience birth. We all experience wanting shelter. We all experience wanting to get to know what's going on around us. And we all experience family, a career, yada, yada, yada. When the divine gives you your birth chart, it is asking that you take that planet's psychological drive, let's just say it's your sun, to aspire, and it's going to use certain experiences to teach you about aspiring. It might use a career, it might use a family, it might use the general idea of self-improvement, or it might use the idea of forming relationships. There are mundane events that go into a house, like going to school or buying property. There are psychological events that go into a house, and that might be your self-image or your belief systems. And there are also spiritual things that are attributed to each house, like self-love and finding your sense of purpose. The closer a planet is to Earth and the sun, the easier it is to see in your daily life, to see it working. These you might want to call your daily survival planets, the planets that are close to the sun. They take a short time, anywhere from a month to a couple of years, to go around the sun, to go through all 12 signs. The farther away a planet is, the slower it moves, and we need a telescope to see it. Those planets, like the ones in the dotted lines, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, they take anywhere from 84 years to 248 years to get all the way around the sun. Let's talk about the planets in just a little bit more detail. I'm doing one word for each planet. When I was at Oxford Books when I was 16, there were like volumes of books dedicated to just one planet. That's a lot of information to remember. Again, I don't think the divine wants to overcomplicate this, but I know we humans, sometimes we do tend to overcomplicate things. I'm bringing it down to one word. In this chart, you can see there are 5 planets. These 5 planets kind of shape our daily life. Our sun is what we aspire to be. We are more our moon. These are our inner motivations. It's why we're getting up in the morning. Next, we have Mercury. Mercury is our perceptions. My husband and I have different Mercury placements, different signs, different houses. We can watch the same event unfold and have totally different perceptions about what just went down. Next, we have Venus. This is our conscious drive to value. These can be psychological values or material values, but it shapes what we like to do, what brings us joy, what brings us sorrow. If you value having pets and you see that pets are being abused, well, that's going to trigger some response in you because your particular Venus placement really values animals. Other people can watch the same event. They can just walk away or dismiss it. Versus others, like myself, I'll just puddle. Tears everywhere. And finally, we have Mars. Mars is how we get stuff done. It's that urge to get things done. You can't come here to Earth and just lay about, right? Now, some Marses are more relaxed than others. There's no shade to any kind of Mars given to you because as an evolutionary astrologer, I believe we are given our placements for a reason, our planetary placements for a reason. Maybe in a previous lifetime, your particular way of doing things, Mars, was to get things done really fast and to make really quick decisions. Well, this time, maybe Mars is here to relax a little bit more, to reflect a little bit more, because last time when you did things really quickly, well, somehow things went awry. So this time, you're going to be a little bit more thoughtful about how you get things done. Could be the flip-flop. Maybe last time you just let opportunities roll right by. And so this time, you're going to get stuff done kind of Mars. Next, let's look at the 2 planets who are here to help us grow and overcome obstacles. These are slower moving planets, so they go deeper into our psyche. They challenge our security, and they provide the bigger picture. Jupiter is in a sign for 1 year, and it takes 12 years to go all the way around your chart, through all 12 signs. Jupiter is there to close the door on completed steps, and it's there to open the door to new opportunities. Saturn takes 2.5 years to go through one sign. It takes 30 years to go through all 12 signs and go all the way around your chart to get back to where it started. Saturn is your life's work. You're here to learn self-discipline and personal integrity by overcoming obstacles. Next, we have the unconscious drives. These are nudges to the grand design of your life. These planets define generations because they are such slow movers. Uranus takes 7 years to complete a journey through one sign. It takes 84 years to go all the way around the wheel. Now, Neptune takes 14 years in each sign. You'll never get a Neptune return because it takes 148 years for it to go all the way around your birth chart. Pluto is the excavator of toxic habits or beliefs. It's psychological stuff that's not pleasant to look at, and we do a whole lot of stuff to keep it hidden. It can take anywhere from 8 to 30 years in each sign, and it takes 248 years to do the whole wheel, to go all the way around your chart. So again, sorry to disappoint you, but you will never get a Pluto return. However, America's chart just had its Pluto return in 2022, and it was focused on, in general, leadership structures, leading with the heart or leading with the wallet. Now, the United States of America will get its Pluto return in 2032. So that's our Constitution. And the general idea there is going to be my personal truth versus the truths that I'm being told. It's Aquarius. It's this idea of, is it a corporation or is it a cult? A corporation takes my individual values and allows me to be there as a unique individual. A cult does not. A cult tells me what to think. So that's kind of the process that will be worked with relevance to our American Constitution. Now, the nodes are just symbolic points in the sky. They hint at the deeper story of why you got your chart. As an evolutionary astrologer, here's what I believe. Everything that happens here on Earth is recorded in some big library in the sky. It can be as small as the smile that you share with someone walking down the street, or it can be as big as something like Hurricane Katrina. All of the human emotion is stored up there. All these events, all the trauma that we felt, and all the things that needed to still be learned. So if you imagine all these little human souls on an assembly line coming down the road, before we're born, before we drop down into the canal and right out of the mom, these stories are pulled from this library and dropped into our souls so we can rework them, so we can heal those things and bring a different type of consciousness to them. So that's my personal belief. It's not necessarily that I had those traumas before, but it's that I am carrying into my life things to be healed. If you take our Earth and you divide it in half, you have the stage on the upper part, the upper hemisphere. This is where the sun is shining, right? And then you have the lower hemisphere. This is kind of the production or the editing room. If you have planets on the upper hemisphere, you are designed to come to this world and see how you affect it. You are there to be seen. Now, we're all here to be seen, but you are here to act upon the world. If you have planets in the lower hemisphere, well, you're designed to kind of understand how the world affects you. This does not mean that it is a sedentary position in doing life. No. The lower hemisphere is really important because it's emphasizing putting things together. The upper hemisphere is emphasizing how your power, how your will, how your initiative plays out on the world stage. How does it work? Next, we're going to divide the chart in half again. We're going to divide it between noon and midnight, the sun at its highest and the sun at its lowest at midnight. If you have planets in the east meridian, which is opposite of what we know, so east on a birth chart is on the left and west is on the right. If you have planets on the east meridian, it's more like a DIY show. Those planets are placed there because you need to learn how to do it yourself this time with those particular planets. You need to understand their power, to work with their power and their drive. If you have planets on the other side, those planets are learning to interact with others' power, to learn where they need to take their hands off the wheel. Those planets are learning where their power begins and ends, and how to integrate with other forms of power through other souls here on Earth. Next, we're going to color code the birth chart. And it reveals the underlying system to taking a look at a chart and getting it at a glance. The first thing we're going to look at is the modes. The mode is the type of energy a planet is going to use. A planet will be assigned one of 3 modes to develop its consciousness. It'll be here to initiate things, to know its power, or it'll be a planet that is designed to secure and stabilize this time around, or it'll be a planet that is designed to adjust its perspective, to look back at what was once fixed and to see ahead to what is next, which is cardinal, and to adjust its view, to take with it what worked in fixed and what needs to be readdressed in cardinal. The modes are one of the reasons why sometimes we don't get on well with others. If you take, for example, the moon, our inner motives. Someone's inner motive may be cardinal. It's out there to get stuff done, and it moves very quickly. It's decisive. But if it's trying to get along with someone who has a mutable moon, well, they're kind of assessing all the time what's coming in, what's going out, where's the right point to make that decision. It doesn't mean they're indecisive, but to the cardinal moon, it could appear that they're indecisive. But those adjustable moons are here for a reason. Maybe they made their decision too quickly in the past, so they're here to learn, to take in a little bit more information, to see both sides of things, and then make their choice. Next, we're going to talk about the elements. The elements are the motive that the planet has. There are 4 elements that a planet will use. Fire, which is intuition. So it is motivated to move and assert itself with its ideologies, its authority, its faith, and its hope. So fire is future focused, just like air. Air is driven to connect. Earth is motivated by security. It wants to act in a practical and efficient way. It's methodical. Water is motivated by the subconscious. What is it feeling? What is it sensing? Earth and water, they value the past because it was safe. So safety is important to both earth and water signs. Notice that in each of the greenhouses, each of the 4 elements is represented. So in the first house, that's fire initiating. So that's an ideological motive to exercise your personal power. That's the first house. In the 4th house, you have water. It's there to learn its emotional power by sensing, by feeling, by reading people's faces. In the 7th house, air is there to initiate connection. That's in the house where you're learning your diplomatic power. You're creating partnerships with others. 2 individual strengths are stronger together, or sometimes they battle. And then again, in the 10th house, you have earth. So in the 10th house, you are learning about your societal power, and you're motivated to act in a practical way and to be efficient. So planets there are going to be socially aware and conscientious of how they're going to be perceived. It is just understanding these 2 charts from me when I was a young astrologer that were like, oh, now I get it. You can tell so much by just looking at a person's chart and understanding these color-coded pieces and understanding what's in the DIY side versus the I want others' help side, or let's do a reality show and let me interact off of you, and what's in the above the horizon, the stage, and let me do things that are visible. Let me go out and take life's visible events and let me do those, versus planets in the lower hemisphere saying, let me learn from others. I might pick up more learning from others versus doing it myself. The birth chart is a divine map that's gifted to us. We can choose it or we can choose not to. Either way, we're going to get to the end. And it doesn't matter if you used astrology to help you find that insight, if you use tarot, if you use a psychologist, however you do it, it's fine. But if you're attracted to astrology and you're curious about it, I'm just here to say it has brought unbelievable richness to my life, not in just understanding my own chart and those in my family, those I love, but also in helping others understand their chart and what the invitations are in their chart and what the invitations are as planets transit their chart and sometimes make for some difficult conversations to integrate. I hope you've enjoyed today. If you have, please consider sharing it with someone who would like to learn astrology. I plan on putting out more videos like this. I have 2 more videos in the hopper ready to go out. One is looking at America, a birth story, and the other is looking at America and when it got married. And that is a Can This Marriage Be Saved story. Thank you again for joining me, and I'll see you next time.